Hidden deep in the dense jungles of the Amazon, the Moxie-Hatatima tribe's territory spans more than 22 million acres, an area twice the size of Switzerland. They are one of three groups of Yanomami indigenous people living in isolation in the wild rainforest and mountain ranges of northern Brazil and southern Venezuela. They have always refused any contact with the outside world, making them only possible to track from the air. Imagine a life completely isolated, where the sounds of the jungle, the chirping of birds, and the faint silhouettes of green foliage are the only world they know. In this video, we will tell you about the unique life of this tribe, the mysterious people in the heart of the Amazon. Join us on this mysterious and fascinating journey of discovery. 1. Intrusion. The Moxie-Hatatima tribe of the Brazilian Amazon, one of the Yanomami indigenous groups, lives hidden between the dense rainforest and the wild mountains of northern Brazil, near the Venezuelan border. They were rediscovered in 2011 when a plane flew over and accidentally recorded their images. 2. This is a small community, only about 100 people, but they have chosen to completely isolate themselves from the outside world, even avoiding other indigenous groups living in the same territory. 3. This extreme isolation has helped protect the Moxie-Hatatima from dangerous diseases such as malaria, but also makes them vulnerable to unwanted contact. Their settlement is so deep in the jungle that it is difficult to locate from above, leaving their existence a mystery hidden by nature. 4. Although not considered an endangered tribe, experts recommend that the Moxie-Hatatima continue to live in isolation, as contact with the outside world could introduce diseases to which they have no immunity. 5. Although the community lives in an area protected by the Brazilian government, the threat of illegal miners encroaching on their territory is ever present, threatening their safety and their primitive way of life. 6. A few rare published images of the Moxie-Hatatima tribe have revealed their rooftops in the middle of the jungle, creating a vivid and mysterious image of the tribe's primitive life. Researchers decided to share these photos to warn the world about the threats this community is facing, mainly from illegal mining. 7. In these photos, taken in 2016, new thatched roof structures were seen, indicating an increase in the number of families in the tribe. 8. They live together in a circular structure called a malacca, where families share space but remain separate. Each family has their own corner of the malacca, where they hang hammocks, store food, and light fires, creating a warm and connected space in the wild. 9. However, their life is not entirely peaceful. There have been bloody conflicts between the tribes and mining groups, most notably the Haksamu massacre in 1993, when 16 Yanomami were brutally murdered. 10. Preserving indigenous territories like Moxie-Hatatima's land is not only about protecting an isolated community, but also about protecting ecological balance, helping to reduce carbon emissions from deforestation, making it vital to the fight to protect our planet. 11. The Moxie-Hatatima, the most isolated branch of the Yanomami tribe, live completely isolated from the modern world. They do not own any industrial goods such as aluminum pots, machetes, or cloth, and do not even use manufactured products or metal objects. Their primitive way of life is a testament to a wild and simple life, where everything is connected to nature. 12. About 22,000 Yanomami people currently live on the outskirts of the Brazilian reserve, but among them, the Moxie-Hatatima group is the most isolated, having no contact with the outside world. At least 3 other Yanomami populations also maintain absolute isolation. 13. The Yanomami Indigenous Territory was established by the Brazilian government in 1992, just months before the Earth Summit was held in Rio de Janeiro. 14. Before the reserve was established, indigenous people faced destruction from the violence of invaders and deadly diseases such as influenza and measles. Thanks to the allocation of conservation funds from the government, the tribes have gradually recovered, maintained and protected their lives in the tropical rainforest. 15. Illegal gold mining is polluting the region's pristine waterways with mercury, a toxic element widely used to separate gold from sediment. Mercury accumulates in fish, seriously threatening the lives and health of indigenous communities. Their survival depends not only on protecting the land, but also on protecting the very life that nature provides. 16. Miners have brought potential hazards to the area, spreading diseases such as malaria and measles, seriously threatening the health of indigenous communities. Fears of a possible outbreak have been heightened by warnings from indigenous rights groups about the danger. 17. During a recent surveillance flight, the Moxie Hatatima reacted violently as a plane passed over their skies, brandishing spears at the plane, an action reminiscent of the visceral reaction of another tribe in the area a few years earlier. 18. These signs suggest that the Moxie Hatatima may be the remnants of a larger Yanomami group that occupied the Mukiji Katramani area from the 1920s. 19. The Nukiji Katramati land, where the Moxie Hatatima lived, was located near the headwaters of the Apio Way River and was surrounded by minefields, exposing them to a world of danger. The harshness of the surrounding environment threatened their peaceful life. 20. The first records of the area date back to 1932, when a large group of Yarrow troops made contact with the explorers. 21. Conflicts in the 1920s pushed some of this group to move to the Adirani River Basin, marking a major change in their lives. 22. Events marked contact with some Yarrow army groups, where there was a measles epidemic in 1968 and the opening of part of the Northern Beltway on their territory in 1973. 23. The Yanomami people form a heritage culture that includes at least 6 subgroups speaking languages from the same family, called Yanomam, Yanomami, Yarawami, Sonoma Ninum, and Inoma. 24. The Yanomami people were not only good hunters, foragers, and fishermen, but they also had extensive knowledge of botany, using more than 500 species of plants for food and building houses. 25. The cassava and banana plantations that stretched across vast savannas, where there was no shade from trees, were a testament to their ingenuity and perseverance in maintaining life in a harsh environment. 26. Shamans are the spiritual guides of the community, with a very sacred and mystical role. They inhale the smoke from a hallucinogenic plant called yakawana, which they believe will help them make contact with the other world, opening the door to the mysteries and depths of the universe. 27. The name Moxie Hatatima comes from a unique and meaningful tradition. The men of this tribe keep their foreskins with 2 special strings called hetate, tied around their waists in stark contrast to their Yanomami neighbors, who tie their foreskins with a simple cotton thread. 28. The invasion of their territory by gold prospectors forced the tribe to move northeast, abandoning the land they had occupied for decades. 29. Between 1987 and 1990, hundreds of gold prospectors poured into their territory, with 300 to 500 machines operating non-stop and 300 planes flying over the area daily. 30. In 1990, terrifying rumors began to circulate of an armed conflict between the miners and the Moxie Hatatima. It was even believed that the tribe had disappeared due to this violent conflict and the diseases they contracted from contact with the miners. These dark rumors fueled fears that a unique part of history and culture had been wiped out by the ruthlessness of human greed. 31. The Moxie people were long forgotten after being removed from their territory, living in isolation and wilderness until they were found in 2011 during a reconnaissance flight conducted by Funai. 32. The cut in the budget for protecting indigenous lands led to the temporary disabling of the guard bases installed in their territory, and immediately, gold prospectors occupied these bases, turning them into support stations for greedy mining operations. 33. In 2019, a welcome news came when the government announced that the guard bases in the Yanomami territory would be taken over by Funai, with the supervision of the Mukaji branch and demarcation from Korkorma. This brought new hope for the preservation and safety of indigenous people. 34. The Moxi-Hatatima live in elliptical houses, built near a field area of about 49 acres, mainly lush banana plantations. 35. The architectural style typical of the Yarawami group probably originated from their first contact with outsiders around the 1950s to 1970s. 36. Despite being provided with modern weapons such as axes, machetes, and knives, the Moxi-Hatatima have steadfastly rejected them, maintaining their traditions by continuing to use traditional weapons that they have made themselves. Determined to protect and maintain their culture, they still live with a strong spirit, not succumbing to change. 37. In the photos, one can clearly see 17 sloping roofs next to each other, testifying to the small community of the Moxi-Hatatima, with a population of no more than 100 people. They are known as the isolated people of the Serra de Estrutura region. 38. They use primitive tools such as stone axes and homemade tools to cut trees and build houses. They abandon all modern weapons when they encounter them, maintaining their independence and traditions. 39. In November 2021, heartbreaking news came from the Aplayu region. 2 Moxi-Hatatima were killed in an attack by gold prospectors. The conflict broke out when a group of tribal warriors approached the Stoilia Preta mine, determined to expel the invaders from the sacred territory. 40. In the fierce confrontation, 3 miners were hit by arrows, and the invaders responded with gunfire, taking the lives of 2 brave natives. 41. An arrow fired by the warriors was picked up by a young man from the Upper Mujikai region who witnessed the tragic event. This arrow is now located in a community in the Apple One region. 42. Satellite imagery has revealed the horrific devastation. More than 100 hectares of forest have been destroyed by illegal activities in the Moxi-Hatatima territory. 43. Since 2019, there have been heartbreaking reports of Moxi-Hatatima people being shot with rifles as they try to defend their fields, using traditional arrows to fight off brutal invaders. 44. 4 murders of Moxi-Hatatima indigenous people have been recorded in recent years, representing 5% of the tribe, leaving behind pain and concerns for their survival. The Yanomami justice system has warned of the possibility of new revenge attacks on gold prospectors, seeking justice for the unjust deaths they have suffered. 45. Davi Kopanawa, a prominent Yanomami shaman and activist, became president of the Yanomami Hutukara Association. He has been dubbed the Dalai Lama of the forest for his tireless efforts to protect indigenous territories. 46. Experts stress the importance of preserving these communities. They hold unique knowledge accumulated over thousands of years and are great guardians of the forest, a powerful force in the fight against deforestation. 47. Researcher Francesca Fiacco asserts that it is a serious mistake to view these tribes as backward or primitive remnants of a bygone era. Instead, she suggests that we see them as contemporaries, an integral part of human diversity. 48. The director of the Survival Foundation stresses that these tribes form complex societies and are perfectly capable of living successfully without external notions of progress or development. 49. Experts agree that the best way to support them is to leave them alone and ensure that their rights and territories are respected. Uncontacted tribes have proven that they can survive on their own without outside interference. 50. If tribes like the Moxi-Hatatima disappear, the conservation of the Amazon rainforest will be in serious danger. The forest will be destroyed and illegal logging and mining will increase. Have you heard about this lost Brazilian tribe? What surprised you most about their characteristics? If you want to continue learning about different cultures around the world, check out this video about Mozambique. See you soon!